Let's talk about the story of fallen angels. I mean, where does it really come from? Not just a sentence here or there, but the whole epic tale. Angels leaving heaven, giving humanity these forbidden secrets, and creating a race of, monstrous giants? Well, buckle up, because the original source is almost definitely not what you think it is.
But before we dig into that source, we gotta ask, why are we still so hooked on this story? It's a myth that's been grabbing our attention for thousands of years. It has worked its way from these super ancient texts right into the stuff we watch and play today.
I mean, seriously, think about it. You've got these incredibly powerful beings that choose to fall from grace. You have the lines between God and human getting all blurry, and you have this idea of knowledge that comes with a really, really high price. These themes are absolutely everywhere, and they poke at some of our biggest questions about good versus evil, and maybe our own limitations.
And that cultural footprint is just massive. I mean, from the whole Nephilim storyline in games like Diablo and books like The Mortal Instruments, all the way to a show literally called Lucifer, about him leaving his post. Our entertainment is just packed with these ideas. They've really become a cornerstone of fantasy and horror. Okay, but here's the big twist. While the Bible does touch on this stuff, the most detailed, the most foundational story doesn't actually come from Genesis. Nope, it comes from an ancient text that isn't in the canon, a book called the Book of Enoch. And that is where our story really kicks off.
So, what's in the Book of Enoch? Well, it tells us about this specific group of angels called the Watchers. And their story isn't just about one guy rebelling. Oh no. This was a full-blown, premeditated conspiracy against the entire cosmic order.
And their name, the Watchers? I mean, it tells you everything, right? Their mission was simple, to observe. They were divine overseers. A group of 200 of them, led by guys like Samyaza and Azazel, were sent down with one single sacred job: just watch humanity. But apparently, just watching got a little boring. And what's so wild is how planned their fall was. This wasn't some accident, it was a plot. They all gathered on a mountain, Mount Hermon, and made a pact, an oath, binding every single one of them to this plan. Then they descended, took human women as their wives, totally breaking the boundary between heaven and earth, and from those unions came the Nephilim.
And it wasn't just about lust. They also corrupted humanity by teaching them all these heavenly secrets way before they were ready. You had Azazel teaching people how to make weapons and makeup, so war and vanity. Others taught astrology, the secrets of writing things down, reading the signs of the earth. This wasn't just helpful information. It was like throwing a wrench into the whole divine plan, giving humans power they just weren't supposed to have yet.
So, you're probably thinking, if this huge, detailed story is in the Book of Enoch, what about the Bible? Well, here's the thing. This story doesn't contradict the Bible. It actually clears up some of the most confusing, mysterious little passages. It's like it fills in the gaps.
This is the real aha moment. You read Genesis chapter 6, and it mentions sons of God marrying daughters of men, and that the Nephilim were born, but it's super short and vague. The Book of Enoch is like the director's cut. It tells you exactly who the sons of God were, what the Nephilim were really doing, and why all of this was so catastrophic that it literally brought on the Great Flood.
And the influence doesn't just stop in the Old Testament. Early Christians were clearly all over this story. The New Testament has these passages that are basically direct shout-outs. Peter talks about sinful angels being thrown into Tartarus, which is the exact word Enoch uses for their prison. Jude talks about angels who left their proper dwelling, and get this, he even directly quotes a prophecy from the Book of Enoch, and names Enoch as the source.
Now, the story doesn't just end with the Watchers getting locked up and the world getting flooded. Nope, their actions had this lasting spiritual consequence. One that, according to this text, is still messing with the world today. This story explains where demons come from.
So remember the Nephilim? The book is very clear. They weren't just mighty men. They were ravenous, destructive giants. They supposedly devoured every resource humans had, and when that wasn't enough, they turned on humans themselves, eating people and just filling the world with violence.
The whole situation was so bad, the corruption so complete, that a total reset was needed. The Great Flood wasn't just about punishing humanity. It was specifically ordered to wipe the physical bodies of the Nephilim off the planet and just wash the world clean of their mess.
But this is where the story gets really chilling. The flood destroyed their bodies, sure, but their spirits, part angel, part human, were immortal. They couldn't be destroyed.
So with their bodies gone, these disembodied, angry, malevolent spirits were just left to wander the earth. And according to the Book of Enoch, these spirits are the original demons.
Okay, so that's a wild, ancient story. But why does it still feel so relevant? Because the real sin of the Watchers wasn't just lust. It was about breaking boundaries and unleashing forbidden knowledge. And that's a theme we are absolutely grappling with right now.
Let's just look at this quote again. The first piece of forbidden knowledge mentioned, the one that caused so much trouble, it was technology. Azazel taught humanity how to make weapons. The very first celestial secret was a technological upgrade that led to violence and war.
And that leads to a pretty shocking parallel, doesn't it? I mean, aren't we dealing with our own versions of forbidden knowledge today? We're on the verge of creating non-human intelligence with AI. We are literally altering the code of life with genetic engineering. We're actively trying to blur the line between human and machine. These are all massive, massive boundary crossings.
And so, this ancient story leaves us with a very modern and maybe uncomfortable question. The Watchers were punished for a transgression that mixed genetic tampering with the early release of world-changing tech. It feels like this powerful, ancient warning about our own unchecked ambition. So, I'll leave you at this to chew on. What cosmic boundaries are we breaking right now, and what could be the consequences of the knowledge we're so desperate to get our hands on?